So at Teatro with the executive chef, John Michael Macneil, he's going to take us on a little tour today and show us a bunch of his cool gadgets and toys. Chef, a lot of your focus seems to be on the more molecular, modernist kind of cool stuff. How'd you get into that?
It is, ever since I was in culinary school, I was back in 1999, I seen a short clip on Ferran Adrià in Spain and what he was doing there, and it was just mind-blowing to see, what he was doing. And he was doing Parmesan ice cream, and he was doing things in syringes, and I couldn't believe it, and I talked to my professors the next day at school, and I knew that they had seen it, and they said, it was just something that would never take off, and people wouldn't understand it. And so ever since I've seen that, there was always something in the back of my mind saying, why can't we do that? And I started trying things at home and everything else, and just the past 2 years now, modernist and avant-garde technique has become more mainstream, with the sous vide becoming available for the home cook, and these small packages with hydrocols and things for molecular cocktails, and it's just a new way of eating food. We're not really changing a whole lot of things of a recipe in that, but we're just changing different components to make it better. If we're not making it better, we're best not to do our molecular food.
But this stuff, it gives you the ability to change that, so it's like you say, the food's still the food, and it sometimes just makes it better depending on what properties you're working with.
Yes, there's very good molecular, and there's very bad molecular. In the end, it's all about the freshness of the product, the flavor, and in the most important aspect is the guest. How the guest perceives it, and if the guest is going to enjoy their experience.
Does the name have anything to do with the theatrics and the modernist stuff?
Teatro is very classical, and this is something very new for us to be trying here, and the reaction and the feedback has just been overwhelming, and we're going to continue like this. The tasting menu is about 99% molecular techniques, and our a la carte menu has a few aspects of this, but it's just to modernize the food. If we think back to when Escoffier was cooking, there was a guy back then that was doing modernist and molecular food. He changed the way we eat. It's the same thing. If we have an omelet, if we never added cheese or peppers or mushrooms to that omelet, like Fran says, we'd always be cooking the same food. So we always have to be evolving and changing.
So you say you learn most of this at home,
Yes.
Obviously your instructors were the skeptics.
Yeah, for sure.
So you just bought books and watched programs.
Watched a lot of stuff by Ferran, Grant Atchats, Daniel Human, just to name a few, Wiley Dupree from WD50. I got to eat at his place. We had a tasting menu, and that was back a few years when he wasn't very well known during the time. And you just pick up things, and I talked to him afterwards, and try to get some insight of where I could go from there. And he kind of directed me the way of how to approach this into incorporating it into menus and whatnot. So it was very interesting.
Do you think they should teach it more in culinary schools these days?
Yes, I do believe that, but at the same time, I believe a strong foundation in classical cooking is by far more important than the molecular and the modernist techniques. If you can't sear a scallop, or if you can't grill a piece of meat or whatever, you have to learn the basic stuff first before you can move on to this stuff.
Right.
If all you can do is make a molecular pâte de choux and sous vide, and this is the only way you know how to cook, that's great, but you're going to very limit your scope and where your career is going to take you. But if you know how to do basic cooking, you can understand why we can change and why we do molecular techniques to make things better.
There's more about building flavor bases and everything like that, as opposed to the newer techniques.
I agree, 100%.
Cool. Well, we'll go have a look around and
check out the team and check out the toys we have here, and so I wish the best experience.
Awesome. Thanks for having us.
Thank you very much. Thank you. So I'm just gonna put some olive oil in the pan right now, so it's on medium-low heat. Okay. So you can see that the oil it's almost starting to smoke. So I'm gonna put a fresh weather vane scallop inside. Okay. The initial sear is very important for the caramelization to bring out the natural sugars in the scallop here. While we're waiting for this to sear, I'm gonna start my spatzle. So inside here, we're just gonna put a little bit of olive oil, which is made by Teatro in Italy as well. We're gonna put this inside here. We have a little bit of a sear on there. A little bit of farm cream. Some BC morels as well. So this is kind of a landlocked coastal dish because of the BC morels and the BC sea asparagus that'll go inside here. While we're waiting for that, we're going to start up some foam as well with some lemon air. This is lemon juice, water, and soy lecithin. Salt. Beautiful stir of this salt as well. So we're going to start to finalize our plating here. We're going to put some dill here around the rocks here to symbolize for some seaweed. Sea asparagus, spatzle, the morels will go in the bottom of the dish here. Nicely seared scallop. The secret ingredient, dry ice in the bottom here with some chopped up dill. Some lemon air that's going to represent the sea foam that's on the shore. And then we're going to cover this dish here when it goes to the table. When it's at the table, this will be revealed, as well as the fog, the dill fog. And there you have it. You have a seared scallop with our dill fog, or a Teatro Calgary. It's good, you know, dig right in, right off this scallop.
Nice sear, chef. These are morels are seasonal, right?
They are seasonal.
Yeah. So you guys get them late summer? Or?
Yeah, they're usually early spring, and then we have them and we'll get them dried. I find the dried, I use dried exclusively when I was in Switzerland.
Yeah.
And I find that the dry is just so much more intensely flavored compared to the fresh ones. We do use the fresh, but like Scott says, the season is very, very limited. So we always try to use something with the best flavor. So that can be either if it's fresh, dried, or even preserved.
This is amazing.
right, guys, thanks for joining us here today. Make sure you subscribe, like the video here, tune in. We're going to be back with lots more stuff here, really interesting things, and we're going to be able to do it.